The day before my engagement to my boyfriend, I caught him kissing another woman passionately. And that woman was Mandy Taylor, that I crouched in the corner eavesdropping on their conversation. I'm 12 years older than you. I'm your elder. Even if you were 20 years older. You're still the woman I love most. Later, I saw Mark Johnson's alt account, .it documented his 10-year-long crush on Mandy, I watched as they finally ended their passionate kiss, I put away my phone that had recorded the video and stepped out from the corner, hearing the noise. The two quickly separated, pretending nothing had happened. You, what were you doing just now? I tried to control my emotions, keeping my voice from trembling. Sue. A trace of panic flashed across Mark Johnson's usually calm and composed face. We're rehearsing a scene. Mandy stepped out from behind him, explaining for him, that movie we wrapped earlier. The director said we need reshoots, we were afraid you'd feel awkward seeing it. So Mark and I hid here to rehearse. Mandy was wearing a seductive red dress, tear stains still visible at the corners of her eyes. Yet she pretended to be cheerful and opened. I suppressed my nausea and said, Mark, tomorrow's engagement party is cancelled. We're breaking up, ignoring their stunned expressions. I turned and walked back. As soon as I entered my room, Mark, who had followed me, grabbed my wrist. Sue, what are you throwing a tantrum about? I frowned, trying to break free. But he held tighter. The engagement party isn't a joke. There are many reporters coming tomorrow. Be good. Don't be willful. Mark closed the door and pinned me against it. His deep eyes were filled with my reflection. I gave a cold smile and suddenly lifted my leg. Mark's usually aloof face instantly contorted in pain, after he let go. I slapped him across the face. The perfume smell on you is disgusting. Get away from me. I knew he was acting with Mandy before. Mark Johnson is a rising star actor, a leading man, and Mandy Taylor is a Grand Slam actress, this year. A major suspense film cast them as the lead actors. The director privately showed me the script. There were no intimate scenes between the male and female leads. The most ambiguous part was just a ballroom dance, although I was reluctant. Mark is always very persistent about good scripts. He rarely coaxed me for a week. Under Mark's gentle persuasion, I relented. Back then, I simply disliked the Taylor family side. And I never thought that Mark would develop inappropriate feelings for a woman 12 years older than him. Divorced with a child. But today it hit me like a ton of bricks. I looked down at the man crouching on the ground in pain. 3 years ago. At a cocktail party, I caught a fleeting glimpse. I had a crush on Mark Johnson at first sight. His features were exquisite. He stood 6'2". And in a white shirt. He looked like a man straight out of a comic book. He fit my aesthetic perfectly. I had someone investigate his family and romantic history. And it was all clean, coincidentally. He had a strong liking for me too. We smoothly became a couple and dated for 3 years. But throughout those 3 years, he remained rational and restrained. Never bringing up living together. Even kissing was always initiated by me. Yet I never expected he could also get so excited and lose control. I stared at that face that had once mesmerized me. Now filled with nothing but disgust. Get out of my house. I'll have your luggage sent to your studio tomorrow. While he was still unable to fight back, I opened the door and kicked him out with one foot. Then I casually changed the villa's passcode, after Mark recovered. He knocked on the door for a long time. I called the villa security. And they quickly arrived with a team to chase Mark away. A woman really needs to have money and power to get by. Just as I was about to head upstairs, I noticed Mark's phone was still on the coffee table. After a moment's thought, I picked it up and tried to unlock it. I entered a few passwords. But none worked. On a whim, I entered Mandy's birthday. Sure enough, it unlocked. There wasn't much on the phone. The chat apps were filled with studio employees and some collaborators and directors. The photo album was spotless too, with not a single picture of me from the past 3 years. Then I accidentally clicked into his Twitter account. It was a side account he hadn't had time to switch from. The username was called Mutong. There were 3,568 posts in total. with 0 followers and only Mandy Taylor followed. The date of the first post actually went back 10 years. At that time, Mandy had come to his university to scout locations for a film, and he was pulled in as an extra. Mark had a crush on her at first sight, and afterward, he started following all of Mandy's activities in the entertainment industry. I kept scrolling back to 3 years ago. Around the time we officially became a couple. He was still reposting various materials about Mandy Taylor. 5 months ago, he joined the set to film Assassination. The number of posts visibly increased. Saw her on set today. Really nervous. Hope I didn't come off too childish. Almost time to wrap up filming. Mandy looks a bit haggard today. Heard she's going through a divorce case. The director said I was too into the character again today. How could I not know? After liking her for so long, I'm satisfied even if I can only play her lover in the movie. I scrolled through his idolizing records. Posts with names and photos were set to private. So no one had ever uncovered this side account. I turned off his phone. Feeling a bit dazed. 3 years isn't short. Only now am I realizing it belatedly. With a stabbing pain in my heart. So all along. Has he been treating me as a substitute for Aunt Mandy? Is it exciting to date the niece of his first love? If we get married, what else will they do behind my back? I barely slept all night. I told the secretary to inform everyone that the engagement party was canceled, and all losses would be covered by the Wilson family. In the morning, ignoring the bombardment of calls and texts, I had the driver pick me up for work. In the CEO's private elevator. Sean seemed hesitant to speak. What's wrong? Sue. Mark has been waiting in the conference room for you since early morning. I paused mid-step and headed to the conference room. Inside, Mark sat in a chair, still wearing yesterday's clothes. His hair messy, face pale, with dark circles under his eyes. Sue. He stood up quickly when he saw me enter. Listen to me explain. I was wrong yesterday. I just wrapped filming for the Assassination not long ago, and I haven't fully gotten out of character yet. Stop. I cut him off. I pulled his phone from my purse, unlocked it, opened his alt account, and placed it on the table. I didn't realize you've been so devoted to Mandy. She's divorced now. So what are you trying to say? Go comfort her. Or pursue her. Mark's expression turned awkward as he stared at the phone without a word. Okay. I can pretty much guess without your answer, Mark. I'm not an idiot. Your studio won't get any more support from the Wilson family, and you'll pay the breach of contract fee to your agency as per our agreement. From now on, we have nothing to do with each other. Contact my secretary if anything comes up. I rolled my eyes, turned, and walked out. On the way, I instructed Sean to kick Mark out immediately if he ever showed up again, not letting him upstairs. The next week was relatively calm, except for Mark constantly sending apologies through every possible channel. But as long as I didn't want to see him, he couldn't reach me. One late night, I accidentally answered a call from a new number he was using. Sue, why are you so heartless? Have you ever really loved me? Stop being stubborn. Can't we make up? Mandy and I truly have nothing going on. Mark sounded drunk, his words slurred and incoherent. I started to soften. Mark is the man I loved for 3 years. My first love, when I first took over the Wilson family business. I worked until dawn every day, no matter how late it was. Mark would come to the office to drive me home. Fans called him the aloof heartthrob. But whenever I kissed him, he'd blush and avoid my gaze. After his first movie won an award, he announced our relationship on stage during his acceptance speech. Those 3 years were the most loved I've ever felt in my life. I called Mark's assistant to pick him up from the bar. Call it my tendency to get nostalgic in the dead of night. The next day he didn't contact me again. Instead, he posted a message on social media. I'll show you how happy I am. This angry remark instantly hit number 1 on the trending list. Fans speculated that we had broken up. Some of our shippers claimed we were just having a conflict, and Mark was using reverse psychology, regardless. It left me completely overwhelmed. I rushed to meet with the PR team to remove the trending topic and hire trolls. Just after the meeting, A message from and popped up on my phone. It was a screenshot of a post on a friend's social media page, showing two adults and a child's hands making a peace sign. Before I could take a closer look, Anne's call came through. Sue. What does Mark mean by this? Weren't you two broken up? Is he rebounding immediately? And there's a child. And bombarded me with questions. No. I patiently explained the recent events. And then the girl blew up again. That Johnson guy has a screw loose. How could he possibly look at anyone else when he's got a 20-something super beauty like you? The Wilson family heir. As his fiancée. He had a crush on Mandy for 10 years. And he was only 18 then. Mandy isn't any good either. I felt sick when I found out she auditioned for that movie back then. I'll keep stalking them forever. Mark was determined to provoke me, constantly updating me on his and Mandy's activities through various channels. One moment on a cruise, the next taking the kid to an amusement park. His gentle, calm image from previous years vanished completely. Soon, netizens picked up on clues. Paparazzi snapped photos of Mark and Mandy out with her child. Online sentiment began to overwhelmingly criticize Mandy, accusing her of interfering between Mark and me and causing our split, though that was indeed the truth. However, Mark clarified quickly, posting a 10-year-old photo with Mandy and captioning it, "The idol and role model who inspired me to enter the entertainment industry. After a decade, I've fulfilled that promise." Mandy reposted it, "I always believed in you." Then the public opinion started to calm down, even reversing slightly for some. Shippers for Mandy and Mark's new movie began writing fan fiction, portraying Mandy as the first love while I was just a stand-in. Online information about Mark's girlfriend was scarce, with a couple of grainy paparazzi photos surfacing that vaguely showed I resembled Mandy. Mandy's fans claimed I leveraged that face to get a hit. A fake is always a fake. But I had no time to deal with these small fries now, because grandfather sent people to escort me to the old mansion. Slap. After entering the study, grandfather immediately slapped me. The old man used all his strength, swallowing the metallic taste of blood in my mouth. I bowed my head and listened to his scolding. If you like some entertainer, fine. But is engagement a joke? Canceling it on a whim, where does that leave my dignity? Even if you grab some random guy off the street, you must marry this month. Otherwise, forget about being the heir. I clenched my fist, my nails digging into my palm, the pain helping me stay calm. All right. Grandpa, what about my mother? Grandpa leaned on his cane and sat on the sofa, not answering my question. As I hunched over to leave, Grandpa said, "She won't die. I'll let you see her after you get married." On the way back, I sat in the back seat. Beside me, Sean held an ice pack to my face. "Sue, the online rumors have died down. We've gathered evidence on the defamatory accounts and are preparing to sue." "Good. What about the board?" Director Zhang and Director Liu agreed to transfer their shares. Director Liu is still in talks. I recall Director Liu has a nephew at Ocean City University. Yes. Tim returned from abroad last year and is now pursuing a doctorate at Ocean City University. I took the documents Sean handed me. Arrange a trip to Ocean City University for me tomorrow. Yes, wealthy people love some pay-to-win games. Some enjoy keeping a young lover. Others like doing charity everywhere. I am the latter. Since taking over the company, I've funded universities every year. Seeing various experimental projects succeed because of my investment gives me a great sense of accomplishment. It also helps in recruiting talent. The next day, I arrived at Ocean City University early. The president, hearing I was donating a new lab building this time, was already waiting at the school gate. "Sue, the physics department has a lot of equipment that needs to be ordered from overseas. What do you think?" The vice president pulled the physics department head over to me. "List whatever you need and give it to Sean. Yes, absolutely." Billions or tens of billions made no difference to me. With a wave of my slender hand, I donated. All the equipment and facilities had to be top-notch. Just as I sat down in the conference room, over a dozen senior professors rushed over upon hearing the news. They took turns introducing their research projects. But I couldn't understand a word. One senior professor got impatient and dragged the only young guy in the room over to me. Sue. Tim is in charge of this project. Let him explain. I looked up at the guy. Tim had black tousled hair falling over his forehead, wearing gold-rimmed glasses. His porcelain-clean face showing a hint of embarrassment that I heard a professor behind me mutter softly. Old Chun dragged his star pupil over to use a handsome guy as bait. Shameless. Professor Chun, hard of hearing, didn't catch it and continued. Our Tim is only 25. Pursuing dual doctorates in computer science and physics. He's smart. Well-mannered. And obedient, apparently the campus heartthrob here. 2. The guy's pale face started to blush. Spreading down to his neck. The teacher is joking. Sorry. It's fine. I am heading to the cafeteria later. You can explain it to me slowly. The domineering CEO was quite pleased with this handsome guy bait. I had Sean handle the other professor's projects and politely declined the president's lunch invitation, with Professor Chin giving me a proud, fatherly look. I followed Tim out of the conference room. The walk to the cafeteria wasn't far, but we got 100% turn and stare rate. Tim took me into the faculty lounge in the cafeteria, finally blocking out all the prying eyes outside. Sue, what would you like to eat? Whatever you recommend. I thought for a moment and continued. You don't need to call me Sue Wilson. Your uncle is a founding member of the Wilson family group. And in terms of seniority, we're peers besides. I think I'm a few months younger than you. So just call me Sue. Tim froze for a second, then nodded. Okay, Sue actually. The main reason I came today was to see you. What? Well, I need a suitable partner right now. I'll ask bluntly. Would you be willing to get to know each other with the intention of dating? You can refuse. This has nothing to do with my funding the school project. It's a personal request. I knew I was being a bit hasty, but time waits for no one. And I need the Liu family's support. In the end, Tim and I smoothly exchanged contact information. After lunch, Sean and I returned to the company, after withdrawing resources from Mark's side. I simply went ahead and started a talent agency. I put a lot of effort into building the team back, then IT would have been ashamed to disband it just like that. Business is business. And the Wilson family just happened to use this opportunity to enter the film and television industry. Who complains about making too much money? Anyway, with the Wilson family's capital, we can make any star famous. The people under me moved quickly, signing a group of freshly graduated boys and girls with high salaries. If we're going to do it, we're going to do it right. By the end of the year. I also plan to invest in variety shows and movies before. I poured all my energy into Mark, handling everything personally. I never expected to feel strangely empty after the breakup. It wasn't that work wasn't busy. I just discovered how rigid and dull my life could be. Passing by the break room, I overheard female employees gossiping. Did you see today's trending topics? Mark and Mandy were photographed together again. Huh. Isn't Mark Sue's boyfriend? How long have you been offline? When have you seen Sue working consecutive overtime like this at the company in recent years? It's obvious they broke up. Sue is beautiful and Rick is that guy crazy, rushing to become a stepfather. They say they fell in love on set. Hell, regret it. I really admire Swesh. Is a year younger than me, but has a PhD. Runs such a huge company. And even finds time to date. No wonder she has an IQ over 140. Is amazing. If I had her advantages, I'd change to a new young hottie in the entertainment industry every day. Look at you. So unambitious. Oh. That was a direction I hadn't considered. Things with Tim were barely progressing. And with a 1-month deadline, I might need to explore more options. I didn't turn down the invitation to the GN Fashion Gala. Before the gala started, there was a red carpet event. I sat in the VIP seats specially prepared by the organizers. Watching half-heartedly, there were plenty of young, handsome guys in the entertainment industry. All types available. but I wasn't interested. None of them caught my eye, halfway through. I got sleepy and decided to wander around the area. Maybe there'd be a surprise. I end the garden behind the rest area. I turned a corner and saw a guy surrounded by 5 or 6 girls. It seemed like he was being harassed by a stalker fan. I didn't plan to intervene at first. But when the guy turned around, I saw the pattern on his outfit. That logo looked familiar. Could it be one of our own artists? Sean had mentioned that the agency would bring some newcomers this time. I waved to the bodyguards in the distance, signaling them to come help, soon. The guy was rescued from the crowd. He followed the bodyguards and walked toward me. As he got closer, I realized his demeanor was surprisingly similar to Mark's. He was probably over 6 feet tall, with a more refined appearance. Although they say you shouldn't date within your circle. Thank you, Sue, for helping me out. A clear voice interrupted my thoughts. Yeah. No big deal. Where's your agent? Why did they leave you alone here? I asked. The outfit of another artist she's managing had a problem. She's fixing it in the dressing room. I felt stuffy. So I came out for a walk. I nodded. What's your name? Zoe Baker. Zoe as in the color white. Baker as in a small boat. White porridge. Uffed. I couldn't help but laugh. The guy's expression showed habitual embarrassment and annoyance, clearly. Had been teased about this before, sorry. Cough. I rarely lose my composure. It's fine. I'm used to it, actually. Having a memorable name is kind of nice. Zoe lowered his eyes, his long eyelashes casting a shadow, making him look fragile and innocent. My heart skipped a beat. Oh dear. I'm hopelessly shallow. Back when I first had a crush. I fell for Mark at first sight and never paid attention to other men since. Thinking about it now, I might have missed out. I invited him to walk around with me. Zoe gallantly bent his arm for me to hold. The venue was huge, with fans and hundreds of media outlets taking photos and conducting interviews. The noise overwhelming. I didn't let the bodyguards follow. And Zoe and I unconsciously wandered to the entrance of the red carpet. It was a bit chilly here. And I shivered involuntarily. I asked Zoe to fetch me a shawl. I was getting tired from walking in high heels, bored. I looked around and turned to see Mark just stepping onto the red carpet, beside him. Arm in arm was Mandy in a burgundy mermaid gown. A few minor actors trailed behind. It seemed the whole crew came together. I muttered to myself. Bad luck, just as I was about to look away. Mark, who was being interviewed, spotted me then, ignoring the reporters present. He stared silently and intently in my direction. I lifted my skirt to leave. Sue. It was that woman Mandy. I didn't want to engage and kept walking back. To my surprise, Mandy ran over in her gown, bringing a swarm of media with her. The camera flashes blinded me. Mark followed too. Mandy Taylor. This is Mandy. This young lady looks so much like you. Are you relatives? Hello, miss. Are you the newcomer Mandy is promoting? Have you signed a contract yet? I frowned as reporters shoved microphones toward my face. I picked up my phone to call for bodyguards and the organizers. Suddenly, my waist was grabbed, and I was pulled into an embrace, shielding me from the increasingly frenzied media and cameras. The faint scent of cedarwood cologne told me the person holding me was Mark Johnson. I don't want her footage appearing online. Came that cool, detached voice. I tried to break free, but he held me tighter. So I lifted my foot and stomped on his with my high heel. I've had physical training. Taking him down wouldn't be a problem, but with so many people around, it would be undignified. Mark winced in pain and released me. I picked up my phone and dialed the organizer directly. General Manager Chun. I'm at entrance A3. Send someone to handle the media and bring security guards. It's getting chaotic here. Sue, you're here for the red carpet too. Mark is protecting my niece so well. Everyone, don't scare her. Mandy brushed off my call, her tone dripping with jealousy. Did she think she'd stolen my boyfriend through her own efforts? And that after all this time? My weakness in not responding meant she could manipulate me freely on camera. This young lady is Mandy's niece. No wonder she's so beautiful. Mark is practically your elder's rumored boyfriend. And the closeness between you two feels a bit intimate. Care to share any juicy love triangle gossip with us? Haha. A bold male entertainment reporter shoved his way to my side. His company must be powerful to dare ask something like that. Which outlet are you with? I tilted my head slightly. Asking innocently. Oh. We're Chingwa Entertainment, with over 30 million online fans. Specializing in entertainment news, miss. If you hit our headlines, you'll be an overnight sensation. The male reporter's expression was exaggerated and a bit sleazy. I lowered my head and continued dialing. Hey, Sean, look into Chingwa Entertainment. If it's valuable, buy it out. If not, shut it down. Sean worked with lightning speed. Within 3 minutes, the male reporter's phone rang. And his face went pale. It's time for them to go under. Just after dealing with that unscrupulous reporter, General Manager Chen arrived with over a dozen security guards and bodyguards. Zoe was holding a shawl and sprinting ahead, seeing the commotion plus Chingwa Entertainment's reaction. The other reporters sensed trouble and quickly backed off. Some who thought they were clever hid behind Mandy. Zoe stepped forward, pushed Mark away from in front of me, and draped the shawl over my shoulders. General Manager Chen rushed up to me. Apologizing profusely, I just smiled and gave a slight wave, telling the middle-aged man in his 40s not to stress too much. After all, I was the one who chose to walk around. It was just an unexpected situation. I've passed by so many celebrities, and most are sensible enough to know their limits, I said, still smiling, to reassure General Manager Chun. By the way, Mandy, what did you just call me? I turned and asked with a grin. Sue, niece. Mandy looked confused as I pushed past the bodyguards in front of me and walked up to her. Slap-ill ask again. What did you call me? I tilted my head to look in the direction where her face had been slapped. Ask you by me. The surroundings fell silent, including the red carpet and the venue not far away. Sue, what are you doing? Mark froze for a moment, then reacted and tried to grab my arm, but was stopped by Zoe. I ignored him. Instead, I quietly watched as a bright red palm print appeared on Mandy's fair face. Sue. Mandy reacted, covering her face with wide eyes staring at me. Slap. I shook my wrist. I had used all my strength in those 2 slaps. After 2 slaps, Mandy's face was beyond recognition. Her nose and chin were crooked. Is my name something you can call? Mandy was pinned down by bodyguards and could only scream like a madwoman. I frowned in disgust. Then I remembered Mark beside me, who had been stopped. I told Zoe to make way for me. Waved my hand. Slap. Slap. I also gave Mark 2 slaps. His handsome face instantly swelled up like a pig's head. Now I felt relieved. Zoe saw that I had stopped moving, took my hand, and gently blew on my palm. I was too lazy to deal with you before, afraid it would make me seem petty, and recently, I've been practicing Buddhism to regulate my mind and body, not wanting too much hostility, but you actually pushed your luck. The smile on my lips faded. Mr. Chin, you're familiar with the entertainment industry. Help me convey to various brands that I personally don't like these 2 people. Mr. Chin nodded repeatedly. He knew I meant to blacklist them. The power of old money families is deeply rooted, although this generation of the Wilson family has only me as the female heir. The accumulated strength over generations is something that even the so-called wealthy elite fear. Ordinary people, or those not at that level, can't see the giant entity towering over high society. So the ignorant are fearless. Mr. Chin repeatedly assured that he would handle it cleanly. The PLE around trembled with fear, not daring to look at me, afraid of accidentally offending someone. I also lost interest in looking at handsome men, directly headed back home. The next morning, news of Mandy's tax evasion became the top trending topic. At the same time, a video of her cheating on her husband with an investor during her marriage was exposed. And even the child wasn't her husband's. Mark's alt account was uncovered. And the cheating topic became the second top trend. It also came with a recording of him and Mandy passionately kissing at the time, directly confirming them beyond doubt. I leaned back in my boss chair, listening to Sean report behind me. Tim still not budging. Sean's cool fingertips gently massaged my temples. No. Tim is very loyal to your grandfather. TCH. What loyalty? He's just afraid that after I take his shares, I'll suppress the Lee family. By the way, any movement from Tim? Sean's hand suddenly pressed harder. No, there were less than 10 days left before the deadline set by my grandfather. That old bastard actually brought back my distant cousin studying abroad. At noon. I didn't let Sean accompany me. I drove myself to Haicheng University. Tim received my call and quickly arrived at the school gate. For over 20 days, I had been relentless in my pursuit. Tim, if I said I urgently need a legal husband right now, would you be willing to go register our marriage with me? I sat in the driver's seat, looking at the man beside me. Tim's attractive eyebrows furrowed. After a moment, he replied, Sue, that's too fast. I haven't thought it through yet. I have a lab class soon, so I probably won't have time to go out for lunch. Can you give me a little more time? I withdrew my gaze and stared at the steering wheel. The atmosphere in the car turned icy. I couldn't explain more about the family matters. So he knew I was desperate to marry, but didn't understand why. He had his hesitations. And I had my burdens. Okay. No problem. Focus on your studies. Don't waste your time on unimportant things. I forced a smile as usual. I won't disturb you. See you next time. Tim saw I wasn't angry and sighed in relief. All right. I'll head back to campus now. MHM. After he got out, I started the car and drove away without a second thought. Fated to meet but not meant to be. After Tim got out of the car, he intended to wave goodbye as he always did. But when he turned around, the sports car was already speeding off. Tim thought she must be angry after all. He wasn't indifferent to Sue's advances. It was just that this was a critical period for his experiments. And he might be going abroad for an exchange next month. He wanted to finish his busy schedule and then properly date Sue to build their relationship. Starting with holding hands and hugs. Registering for marriage was way too sudden. Sue was a girl with maturity beyond her years, dangerous yet captivating. Tim adjusted his glasses and couldn't help but smile slightly. But sometimes she was adorably naive. How could a girl like that support such a massive business empire? If possible, he wanted to be her future support, sadly. He didn't realize he'd missed his last chance. On my way back, I grew more and more frustrated, and was always telling me about those cheesy novels featuring alpha billionaires and whirlwind marriages. Or marriages of convenience that turn into love. Why couldn't I ever meet someone like that? Back at the office, I planned to go straight to the lounge to nap. Sean knocked and entered with a lunchbox. Sue, security reported you'd returned to the office. Since you came back so quickly, you probably missed lunch. I packed some food from the restaurant. I glanced at the tall man in a suit standing at the door and nodded for him to set it on the coffee table. Sean set the meal on the table and then walked to my side. He habitually took my coat and hung it on the coat rack. He took a hair tie from the pocket of his suit, walked behind me, and helped me tie up my long curly hair. I sat on the sofa, eating while daydreaming. By the way, have you checked Zoe's information? I've already put it on your desk. I'm too lazy to look. Just tell me the key points. Zoe was born in Chingcheng, has an older brother, and his father was arrested for gambling last year. Okay. No need to say more. Direct elimination, when I was half full. I put down my utensils. Sean stood by my side. I stopped him from directly wiping my mouth and took the tissue to wipe it myself. Sean, you've always been my most capable assistant. Sean did not make a sound. He was always like that, recalling. He was the birthday gift I personally selected from the orphanage when I was 10 years old. A loyal, capable subordinate who belonged only to me. Recently, he had been overstepping boundaries. I turned to him, scrutinizing his face. To be honest, Sean was handsome, not like Mark or Tim. who were handsome like aristocratic gentlemen. Instead, he had sharp features, defined angles, a handsome look with a sense of oppression. I admired him. He learned things quickly, financial knowledge, investment skills, and other things I taught him once. He could quickly grasp and apply, wherever I took him. He made me look good. However, before I could finish reminiscing, Sean changed his usual respectful attitude toward me. He walked from beside the sofa to stand in front of me. His deep eyes stared straight into mine, then he slowly knelt on one knee, lifted my crossed feet, and kissed the shoe surface with devotion and infatuation. My heart trembled, and I widened my eyes slightly, but I tried hard to steady myself. I lifted my chin and looked down at him, watching what he would do next, seeing no reaction from me. He pressed his face against my ankle, then looked up to meet my gaze. For the first time, I saw desire in his eyes. I have a clean family background. No father or mother. No bad habits. Superior education. Good physical fitness. I have absolute loyalty to you. Sean is willing to solve your troubles, seeing no reaction from me. He pushed his luck and kissed from my ankle all the way to my knee. Then he rested his chin on my knee and stared at me intensely with an invasive gaze. Master, what I brought back then was actually a wolf. At the time, I just thought he was the most handsome, strong, and seemingly obedient. We were locked in this stalemate, until a knock came at the door. I kicked Sean in the stomach with my leg, signaling him to get up. Sean reluctantly kissed my knee one more time before slowly straightening his suit, standing up, and walking behind me. Come in. The accountant walked in carrying a stack of reports and briefed me on the financial situation of each branch this month. I listened and gave advice while Sean was beside me, taking notes when taking documents from my hand. He would always intentionally or unintentionally hold my hand or brush against my fingertips. This domesticated wolf was getting bolder. I ignored him. After the briefing, I sent both the accountant and Sean out. I dialed my friend's number. Hey, Yo Song. The voice on the other end said. Sue, why are you calling at this hour? How did you get together with your little assistant back then? Yo Song was silent for a moment, then asked gleefully. What? Did your Sean finally make a move on you? I silently flipped the bird. Don't curse at me secretly over there. Be careful, or he'll give the East City project to someone else. Yo Song threatened me calmly. All right, Sister Song. I'm sorry. He just confessed his feelings to me, saying he wants to help me with my worries. The old man isn't giving me much time. And right now, I really can't find a man who's easy to control and has a clean family background. I told the truth. Oh, my little Sue. Think back when he confessed his feelings to you. Did you feel disgusted, resistant, or think he wasn't worthy? I was silent for a few seconds, then answered. No, then think again. If you had a different secretary who could also handle things for you, would you feel uncomfortable? Me. Seems uncomfortable. If Sean had a family, no longer centering everything around you, and had to take leave during holidays to go home to his wife and kids, would you bless him? Me. Okay. All right. My dear little assistant is bringing me love-filled afternoon tea. So think it over carefully yourself, but don't force yourself. Love, family, men, even career aren't everything in your life. Your will, your autonomy. Determine who you truly are, looking forward to the day you fully control your own life. After hanging up, I looked at myself in the mirror. The corner of my mouth lifted slightly. Confident and bold. I dialed the intercom and told Sean to come in, looking at this nearly 6'3" man. I recalled how he had obediently knelt at my feet earlier. I crooked my finger to beckon him over, pulled his tie, making him look me in the eye. Sean, will you be my husband? We didn't get our marriage license until the next day. The reason was that Sean insisted on doing a prenuptial agreement. After marriage, all my assets would belong solely to me, while Sean's future salary and property under his name would be marital property. If I wanted a divorce, Sean would have to leave with nothing. I knew he was doing this to reassure me. Because there's no shortage of men in this world who scheme to take advantage of a wealthy heiress. Coming out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, he was still the one driving. But this time, I was sitting in the passenger seat, watching Sean concentrating on driving. The more I looked, the more I liked him. It turns out that ideal types can change. I had never imagined before that my other half would be this type of steady, mature man, Boss Sue. If you keep looking at me like that, I won't be able to drive properly, Sean said to me while turning around at a red light. I was admiring my freshly baked other half. And being called Boss Sue out of nowhere suddenly made me a bit annoyed. Honey, what should you call me? Just as the car was about to start, it slammed to a sudden stop. And behind us, a chorus of car horns blared in waves. Sean's face looked expressionless. But in reality, he was flustered as he pulled the car over to the roadside. His wheat-colored skin flushed crimson. Weren't you pretty bold when you called me master before? I extended my index finger, gently tracing his Adam's apple, and then clearly saw a certain change. Wow, Mrs. Sean finally managed to choke out after a long pause. And what else? Wife. Keep going. Honey. I turned my head to the other side, unable to stop laughing. Oh no. When you find a man adorable, you're completely smitten. Sean temporarily moved into the villa I currently live in. But our marital home isn't this one. His place was too small for me. So I bought a new one near the company instead. I handed over all the renovation responsibilities to him. And now, it was time to close the net. My own shares, plus those I secretly acquired later, had already matched my grandfather's holdings, but it still wasn't enough. Most of the board members were old cronies close to my grandfather. However, as long as people are alive, they have desires, and anyone whose desires can be satisfied becomes the easiest prey to tame. Tim's health had always been poor, and he desperately wanted a heart transplant. But it wasn't that easy to get one. So when he secretly contacted an underground black market overseas, I had already reported it to the National Security Agency and monitored his every move, just as he thought he was about to succeed. The police broke down the door and caught everyone in one sweep. His shares were handled entirely by his wife, Mrs. Lee, and ultimately ended up in my name. From that point on, the siege began. I tried to persuade other board members where possible. For some stubborn old-timers, I threatened them based on their weaknesses one by one, while the rest all had financial issues of varying severity under their names. And me, I'm the best at digging into finances, because I got married. My grandfather felt reassured enough to retreat with a Taoist priest for several months of secluded meditation. On the day he emerged, I smiled sweetly and persuaded him to sign the stock transfer agreement. The old man was so furious he broke his cane, but he had no power left. Just an enraged, useless old man throwing a tantrum. Wasn't this the same power-hungry attitude he showed when he forced my mother to marry the man who raped Hermie's biological father? He bought half my mother's life for just $200,000 from the Wilson family. Thank heavens for divine justice. It took my biological father away early, but my mother had already gone mad under his torment and was imprisoned by my grandfather in some estate. I am also grateful I inherited my mother's sharp mind from her youth, which made my grandfather confident enough to hand over the family business to me. The sky was incredibly blue on the day I brought my mother out. She sat dazed in her wheelchair, and the moment I wheeled her out of the room, I saw a tear streak down from the corner of her eye. She must have known she was finally free. After that, it was just mopping up the small fry. Like some restless relatives from the Wilson family and the Taylor family, it was a breeze. The day everything settled down, I was lying in Sean's arms, basking in the sun, having worked nonstop for nearly half a year. I was really exhausted. Sue, how about painting Mom's room blue? Sean gently stroked my hair as he asked for my opinion on the new villa. Oh, Sue. What does O mean? I closed my eyes, not wanting to respond. Did I do something wrong? The rocking chair stopped for a moment, Then Sean kissed my earlobe, his warm breath tickling my ear, and said, "Honey, did I get it right this time?" I opened my eyes and shared a smile with him. Then hugged this silly guy tightly. Happiness is just that simple.